In today's episode, I'll be playing a rather ambitious campaign as the Sultanate of Sicily, decisively changing the fate of Europe in an alternate history within the Antebellum mod. And it's in the latest version, which will soon be public, Sword of Islam. This update brings massive changes specifically to Sicily's mission tree, and I'll be making full use of them to defeat the infidels from the Holy Roman Empire. And not just them, I'll also be facing the Nizaris and Andalusia, the most powerful states in the region. Oh, there's going to be a lot of coalitions forming? Or will there? Welcome, imperialists. Lucas here. The situation of the Sicilian Sultanate is truly unique, as this country can expand in any direction. Though at the start I'll be completing the titular mission from this expansion, which will lead me toward Rome. That's why I've designated these rivals and distributed the following social privileges. At the start, I'll focus on religious tolerance. I've also looted manpower from my provinces. Hurts to see, doesn't it? But I'm doing this because I want to quickly complete this agenda for a cheaper advisor. I'm recruiting the Swiss Guard because it'll be hilarious to conquer Rome with them. And I'm hiring my military commanders, though they're not exactly exceptional. I've set my court's stance to military focused. The Sicilian Sultanate also has special government actions, just like with the ICTA government form. And here, I'll take diplomatic reputation and increased vassal loyalty. This decision might seem strange to you since I currently have no vassals, but that will soon change. I'm splitting my fleet and sending it across the seas because I have the ability to raid coastlines. Oh, I have it right here in my national ideas, and I'm sending the Sicilian army to the border with the Papal States. I'll also be taking advantage of Sicily's very strong naval doctrine, which will significantly boost my ability to raid coastlines. I'm allying with Serbia and Magyars while also starting to build a spy network in the Papal States. I've hired advisors as well, because surprisingly, this time I'm playing a country that actually makes money. And now I'm starting to plunder all the coastlines. I need to be quick because the competition isn't sleeping. Those countries down south can do it too. By the way, this is going to be your favorite map now, the piracy one. I'm completing the Sword of Islam mission because I almost forgot. It gave me some territorial claims and a casus belli against the infidels for Rome. Wow, the general from this mission is really good. Unfortunately, I got distracted again. My fleet was split, so now I'm losing ships. Great start, huh? Now I have to rebuild my navy. But at least I've won my first land battle and even a naval battle. Near Ancona, I caught the entire papal army, where my forces are fighting with some debuffs, because I'm such a tactical genius. Still, I win thanks to superior units, and that's the end of the papal army. Meanwhile, the Frankish Empire is going through a small crisis, and now I've moved on to sieging all provinces as usual. Meanwhile, my diplomats will work on more claims. Rome has fallen, and now I'll show you a trick to reduce aggressive expansion. Most of you would probably take all the provinces for yourself, even those from vassals. That would make you a very popular country in the region, of course, very much so. Instead, I'm only annexing the Pope. This way I get way less aggressive expansion and take over all his vassals for free. Nice, right? Once I improve relations with my vassals, they'll become even more loyal. And just in case, we can always use the Strong Duchess privilege, which I'm doing right now. Now I'm completing this insanely powerful mission, which allows me to vassalize all of Tunisia. But since my vassals aren't very loyal right now, and their combined power is pretty high, I've decided to focus on the Balkans first, taking advantage of Bulgaria being in another war. To call Serbia into this war though, I need to wait until November. Without Serbia, I'd just get black flagged. To kill time while waiting, I suppressed a small rebellion. And after a while, I declared war on Bulgaria with my allies. I focused my forces on capturing gold provinces and securing access to Byzantium. Then I destroyed the Bulgarian army. I have no idea where they keep getting troops from, especially since I'm not the only one attacking Bulgaria. But no matter what, I just couldn't take their capital. It finally fell after 3 years, just my luck. In the end, I took these provinces along with the Kosovo gold mine. For now, I'm leaving the Byzantine Empire alone, since they're at war. And since the war dragged on, I improved relations with my vassals, so now I can attack Tunisia. Alright, I must win this war at sea at all costs, because if I destroy the Nizari fleet, I'll probably be safe. Probably. You, however, can safely buy game keys from ENEBA, where tons of discounts are happening right now. Loads of games at the best prices, links as always in the description. Highly recommended. Lucas. A temporary break in the war. I need to plunder all the coasts again. Plundering brings in too much money to ignore. And I have to admit, I made a mistake. Yes, another one. I'm severely lacking administrative points. I should have stuck with balanced actions. Unfortunately, I can only change that in 15 years. I also noticed that the Nizarids had very few troops. Sadly, I had nothing to do with that. So I landed my army right next to Alexandria and then marched straight for their capital. After occupying the entire area, I'll crush the Nizarid armies too, since I have a technological advantage. Which is strange, considering the ruler they have. From the Nizarids, I'm mainly taking money. And I'm breaking my alliance with this country because there's a good chance they'll soon be my next conquest target. A new heir was also born, but he won't solve my administrative point problems. Now let's see how Tunisian troops fare against me, whether they can handle me or not, especially since they've taken good defensive positions, but no, they've been crushed. I'm also blockading Tunis's ports, always nice to get some extra coins from their coffers. Before ending the war, I unlock administrative tech level 5, which lets me pick my first idea group. And I don't really have much choice. I have to go for espionage ideas to reduce aggressive expansion as much as possible. Besides, it synergizes well with my national ideas. Ultimately, I make Tunis my vassal and put them into debt. At first they'll be very disloyal, but an upcoming mission will fix that as it reduces the impact of development on subject loyalty. I'll also pay off Tunis's debt and develop a couple of their provinces. And just like that, Tunis has become a loyal vassal, or rather, a march. I had to turn Tunis into a march because when you annex a vassal, other vassals get a -30 opinion penalty, and Tunis already has enough negative relations with me. But as a march, this penalty won't apply to them. Marches also get nice military bonuses, though they can't be too big. In 10 years, I'll revoke their march status, lose 1 stability point, and annex them. My next step is annexing 3 vassals after the Pope. 3 because I only have 3 diplomats. Since I messed up with the crown lands, I now have high autonomy across the country, so I need to lower it, while also preparing for major rebellion soon. This'll be fun. Today really isn't my day for playing. It also looks like I'll have a major obstacle in this campaign. Yellow France made it through its civil war unscathed. They even have a sizable army, and they've caught up in technology. So I need to change my strategy. Rome has fallen. This gives me a special casus belli against the remaining Italian states, but I won't use it since all of them are protected by the Yellow France you saw earlier. I also have a mission that grants me the same casus belli, but for the Balkans, plus some extra claims. For now, I'm gaining another vassal near Tunis, and I'm going to war with Kaldunis and their ally. I'll take sail while I'm at it. Another war won. This really solidifies my position in North Africa. And now I might take advantage of the Almohad collapse. Right now, they're losing a war to Andalusia. How it will end, I don't know. And once again, I take a break to pirate everything. I've decided to conquer the Balkan states first, since I don't have much aggressive expansion there yet. Time to change that. I also broke my alliance with Serbia. Taking the Balkans will be the first step toward conquering Venice. Plus, I need to secure this area against the Nizarids. I'm attacking Byzantium with the spread religion casus belli, which I'll use rather cynically. Constantinople has been plundered, this time not by crusaders, and the Byzantine army has retreated to Anatolia. Well, great. To speed up the Byzantine conquest, I'm signing a white peace with Wallachia for now, then in 5 years I'll use them to reset the truce timer with Byzantium. The Byzantine army has just ceased to exist, especially since they fled to that island. Unfortunately, these conquests will be very costly in terms of aggressive expansion, so I'll wait a bit. Meanwhile, I noticed something odd happening with the Nizarids. They're losing a war to Jerusalem and Venice. That's honestly surprising. I take my first age ability, naturally, the one that reduces aggressive expansion. Though as Sicily, I could also have stronger galleys here, but I don't really see the point. I'd rather have the Nizarid bonus. I also got lucky again in this campaign. Andalusia exhausted itself in a war against that red country, and now it's fighting Yellow France. It doesn't look like they'll win. Seems like my main rivals are self-destructing. Back to my conquest. I didn't take Constantinople last time because I was more interested in pushing into Anatolia, but I have no claims there. I'm continuing government reforms, going for tax boosts as usual. Though in the next era, I'll have plenty of alternatives, since the new reforms look interesting. Still, increasing my tax revenue is my main priority right now. It's highly profitable. My former Serbian ally is now disappearing from the map. I'm also improving relations with imperial electors because some of them want to ally with me, so maybe I can resolve the Holy Roman Empire situation in a standard way. Because that Yellow France terrifies me, and I need to find a way to weaken it. I took advantage of the situation and attacked that red country to conquer its allies, which are former Andalusian territories, especially since Andalusia is currently going through a civil war. In the meantime, I completed some economic missions that boosted my income. By increasing production, changing my capital's production, good to silk, just a lot of good things really. But back to the war, my enemies don't stand a chance, even though their soldiers have better armor. This is also the moment when I revoke Dhimmi's acceptance of other religions, meaning I no longer accept the Catholic religion, and that might be a problem. I'm doing this because, in the long run, I have to convert Rome to my faith anyway, which will later grant me nice mission bonuses. A foothold in Iberia has been established. I conquered Marga in a way that I first took the poorer territories because I wanted to secure the gold mines there, although I'm not sure if this mod includes an event to increase mining output. Next, I conquered Cyprus and the remnants of the Kingdom of Jerusalem because, to be honest, I want to take that monument from the Nizarids. But before that, I'll take advantage of Andalusia's weakened state and finally take most of its land. This will allow me to complete another mission and gain a lot of claims. Well, maybe not as many as I expected. I just allied with England, which accidentally revealed that most of the French army is currently in England. Actually, if I do a quick count, their entire army is there. So I'm attacking France's ally and activating the Golden Era, just in case. Besides, it won't go to waste anyway since I have 2 idea groups to develop. It also turns out that France's entire transport fleet is in the Mediterranean, and I just intercepted it. I have a feeling that the French army won't be returning to the continent anytime soon. Just to be sure, I've blocked all French ships in the Mediterranean. So I've blocked the strait with my fleet, and now I don't have to worry about anything. Thanks to that, my army is easily advancing towards Paris. France itself has been plundered and drowned in debt. I also released Brittany. Wherever possible, I caused a lot of devastation. Just look at how beautifully France is burning. Wow, I even pushed them into bankruptcy. And not gonna lie, this war has opened up another opportunity, an attack on Genoa. In antebellum, Italian states don't leave the HRE, so conquering Italy is more difficult. And it just so happens that Genoa is the second best province for trade in this region. Besides, attacking HRE members when the emperor doesn't answer their call weakens his position among the electors. And that might lead to a much weaker country becoming the next emperor. Occupying Genoa does generate some aggressive expansion, but it's worth it. I'll have to hold back on conquests among Christian nations for a while. Actually, thanks to my recent conquests and territorial gains, my raiding range has expanded to this area. But to be honest, this campaign is pretty intense. I'm practically at war non-stop, fighting in 3 to 4 places at the same time. I've also started the very long process of converting Rome because it's a holy site for Catholicism. And right after that, unfortunately, I had to attack Byzantium because they started forming a coalition against me, and I can't let that happen. If I conquer everyone, there won't be a coalition. Byzantium doesn't stand a chance in this war. I have way too many military bonuses from missions. Yeah, I'm not showing the mission tree too much because discovering it on your own is the most fun part. This time I conquered Constantinople from Byzantium and I even became an empire because of it. Wait, what? I didn't check this. Sicilian culture isn't part of the Italian culture group in this patch, but rather the Margravial group. That's bad for a very simple reason. I'm part of the Western Europe continent. This means that most likely everything here will be either states or territories, and the entire Margravial region will just be one big trade company for me. So accepting those cultures is practically useless. As my next military reform, I'm taking cheaper mercenary maintenance. Right now half my army consists of mercenaries, so I have to use this anyway. Since I went a bit overboard with conquest, I'm dealing with constant rebellions, just marching around and suppressing them. But I have no choice, especially since I'm attacking Andalusia again. I went even further overboard, but now practically 90% of Iberia is under my control, which is quite nice. And now I'll focus on my country's economy before deciding whether to continue my conquests in Europe or the Middle East. I'm also starting the annexation of Tunis because honestly I keep forgetting about it. How nice rebellions, it's been a while, even more rebellions. After 10 years I finally converted Rome to the Shia faith, which allows me to complete this mission at last. And now I have the Chapel of St. Peter, which gives me a new extremely powerful monument, instantly at level 3. Several years have passed, during which I held back from conquest and focused on developing my economy and trade. Especially since my first serious opponent, Andalusia, no longer exists. Now I'm earning almost 50 gold clean, which allows me to keep investing in economic growth while waiting for my manpower to recover. It's embarrassing to admit, but at the moment I have very few buildings. I need to build temples, and I also placed some production buildings where it was profitable. However, I have plenty of courthouses, especially in Italy. I also optimized trade so that it flows from Cordoba to Valencia and then to Genoa, where I already control nearly 50% of the share. That doesn't change the fact that I currently make a lot of money from taxes and trade isn't as crucial right now. It will only become significant in the next era. So I'm also using my merchants to convert provinces through this option. Since colonialism has already appeared in England, it means that the era of religious wars is coming soon. Probably in 10 years, the first Reformation will begin. I introduced colonialism in Rome because I needed to develop that province significantly for a mission anyway. I won't hide it, I'm really counting on the Shiite religious center to somehow spread Shiism to other Italian states. Maybe that will speed up my conquest in this region. Because unfortunately, since Italy does not leave the Holy Roman Empire in this mod, breaking into it is really tough. All these preparations were necessary for me to move on to the next stage of my campaign, weakening France and conquering the Nizarids. In the meantime, the Nizarids have grown quite a bit, while I have allied with their enemy, the Sharpurids, although their technology level is low. Wait, but the Nizarids also have level 5 military technology. How is that possible? What happened here? They have institutions embraced, so why don't they have the technology? Their rulers are good, at least this one is. I don't know, but this bug has already been reported for a fix. So when you play, it will be more challenging. Thanks to completing my idea groups, I can now recruit a truly powerful army, both in quantity and decent in quality. Since I have level 9 military technology, my war with the Nizarids will look like Aztecs fighting colonizers. Maybe they'll like my big cannons. Though globally, technology looks really weird, many countries are struggling with it. The Nizarid fleet, I'm turning it into splinters. And their army just keeps running away, allowing me to use my siege bonuses to bring down their forts in 10 days. Meanwhile, the Nizarids need at least 38 days per siege tick to take mine. That means their sieges will take much longer. But once I catch their army, I literally annihilate it. And I think something triggered because the Nizarids started catching up on technology. Which is good, I was starting to feel like I was cheating in this campaign. From my enemies, I take practically all my territorial claims, plus a few other provinces I need. Capturing most of the key provinces in the Alexandrian trade node allows me to complete the mission to dismantle the Nizarid power. The next country I'll be dealing with is the Yellow France, but I have to wait until the current king dies. After the last wars, France has little chance of becoming the next Holy Roman Emperor, because I won't lie, right now, France and its allies could pose quite a challenge. What's very interesting is that since the Shiite religious center appeared, a few nations have converted to this faith. And even better, some of them agree to become my vassals. Yeah, I kind of regret not doing this earlier, but hey, sometimes I'm an idiot. Soon, I'll try to improve relations with the remaining small Italian republics to turn them into my vassals one by one. In the meantime, I've also integrated Tunis, and now I'll be adding individual provinces with bonuses to the trade company. I'm also sending a merchant here to steer trade, which will help convert this region to Shiism. I'm doing the same with trade in Safi. Great, it worked. France is no longer the emperor, and now Bavaria holds the title. In this mod, that means a civil war in the Holy Roman Empire. I'll even ally with the Bavarian emperor to weaken France in this war, and I think France got scared because in the end, the civil war didn't happen. They backed down, it's definitely out of the HRE now. Too bad, I would have preferred the war, but now I can begin my invasion of the empire, and to complete this mission, I need to conquer territories that look exactly like Austria. Over time, this has become much easier since Bavaria stopped defending the empire. On the other hand, it's now more difficult because there's a high chance that a coalition will form against me. Especially since I just conquered a Protestant country, and there are a lot of those here. Turns out Lombardy converted to Shiism, so I made an alliance with them. They even have a fairly large army, so they'll be useful. And now, after my conquest, I can complete the mission that gives me a subjugation casus belli on all the electors of the Holy Roman Empire. So now I'll be vassalizing them all. But before I start these wars, I need to fully restore my manpower, because this will be war after war. About 15 years have passed, during which I conquered the rest of the Margrabi and Asturias in Iberia. Also, just look at how religion in Europe looks, it's one big mishmash. Time to bring order. I'll begin the wars by vassalizing the electors with the help of my allies. First, I target the smallest electors to minimize aggressive expansion. In the war to vassalize Tyrol, I try to inflict as many losses as possible on the emperor, so he stops responding to calls to arms. Since I'll be creating a lot of vassals now, my next idea group is administrative, which will help me conquer the rest of Europe. I'm also forcing the electors' allies into debt. Even making such a small vassal generates 20 aggressive expansion, which is a lot. That's why I'll hire an advisor who reduces aggressive expansion, forgot to show him to you earlier. After Tyrol, it's time for a colony, which I attack immediately. Although I must admit, wars with some electors were annoying. And after a few years of wars, I already have all the easy to conquer and vassalize countries, so I broke my alliance with Lombardy. I'll have to vassalize them next. I'll also need to attack Upper Burgundy as soon as my truce with them ends. I decided to drop my espionage ideas since they won't be very useful anymore and replace them with diplomatic ideas. Big conquests will start in the next few years. After more wars with the Nizarids and taking their territory, I can complete a mission that gives me more accepted cultures. Plus, I can now recruit Janissaries into my army, which is incredibly strong. Of course, things wouldn't be right if the game didn't mess with me. One of the electors suddenly got annexed, and unfortunately, I no longer have a casus belli against the papacy. But I begin my conquest of Lombardy for vassalization, and it will certainly not end well. I just need to crush Lombardy's army since the entire country is already occupied, but they still refuse to surrender. Maybe it's because of Scotland? After Lombardy falls, I begin my conquest of Germany. Turns out the papacy is out of range for the mission that gave me claims on most of Germany. But by attacking the Hansa, I managed to solve that problem. In the end, the papacy submitted to me anyway. For now, I'm not taking anything from the Hansa, because it's time to attack Styria, which should be relatively easy to conquer. This will drag the emperor into the war. Since all electors except Styria are my vassals, I only need to capture Bavaria's capital and Styria, and then I can dismantle the empire. And soon enough, I managed to do it. Beautiful. The path to conquering Central Europe is now open. Before launching full-scale conquests, I need to accumulate a lot of administrative points. Conquering all of Europe will generate massive aggressive expansion, so I'll need to fight war after war, sometimes several at once, until the entire continent is under my control. Otherwise, an astronomical coalition might form against me. And since European countries now have large fortresses, I recruit Janissaries, who are excellent at storming them. Their other bonuses are also insanely strong. Alright, I got bored. Time to attack. It's kind of funny how much weaker France is now compared to when I first fought them. Back then, they had 3 times my army size. Now they have 3 times less. So I conquer France without much trouble. I win the war and take quite a bit of territory, especially to connect my lands. For the conquest of Germany, I'll take a 2-pronged approach. First, I'll push eastward to cut off Danish expansion since they've started aggressively expanding. Then, I'll attack Swabia from the west to weaken them as well, since they're also pushing into Germany. I must admit, wars with Swabia will be annoying, but maybe not that hard. I'm winning battles without much trouble. I must have a tech advantage, since the AI isn't even joining battles, just trying to siege forts. Yep, my army is superior in quality. After winning my first war with Swabia, I released some minor nations from them, which I'll conquer in 15 years one by one. No rush, especially since annexing Lombardy is taking forever. After Swabia, I target the Danes to take back their German territories. Thankfully, their army isn't strong, though I might get wrecked at sea, especially since I attacked with a fleet that includes transport ships. But in the end, this seems to be a standard Europa issue. The AI doesn't upgrade its navy, so their ships sink quickly. Yeah, I even managed to sink Denmark's flagship. My biggest problem right now is waiting for the provinces I conquered to be cored, even though my core costs are reduced by 40%. And another 20% reduction comes from having permanent cores. I conquered so much land from the Vikings that I effectively pushed them out of Germany. I've cut off their expansion, so now I just need to keep pushing west. There's still a lot left to conquer. I think I might have overdone my expansion a little. But look, Poznan is already Shia, as well as Wiluń, Opol and Legnica. I have to admit, conversion is going very fast since I have quite a few missionaries and a strong conversion strength. Oh, global trade just spawned in my country, even though I did absolutely nothing to trigger it in Genoa. And overall, my country is fairly stable. Fairly, I also created a Frankish reservation. Maybe I'll switch to Great Britain later. I'm curious how this story will end. Now, a few wars at once. There are just so many level 5 forts here that sieges take forever, even with Janissaries. I simply hate conquering Germany, I hate it. And those fortresses on occupied territories that I have to manually click through and decide which ones to delete. The rebellions after conquests. I feel like after all these conquests, I still have way too many forts, and I'm spending a fortune on them. It's 1623, and I've only just integrated Lombardy, which blocked me in my missions for so long, because only now have I melted the Italian crown, which increases my aggressive expansion by 20 points with all former members of the empire. But the empire no longer exists, and there aren't many former members left either. At least I get +2 diplomatic reputation for the next 25 years. Nice bonus for integrating large vassals, which I no longer have. And after all my conquest and vassal integrations, I can finally form Italia with new traditions and ambitions. By the way, here are my current ideas, I still think they're strong. But Italia has even stronger ones. Core creation cost reduction right from the start, reduced shock damage, extra discipline. The rest of the buffs are insanely strong, look at that monthly piety. Also this, tolerance with our true faith makes for an incredibly stable country. The tax bonus is pretty weak. But at the end, this modifier is the cherry on top. It raises the threshold at which I get penalties for excessive conquests. I could have played this campaign more efficiently, but I have no idea how I could have conquered the Holy Roman Empire any faster. Oh, I also got a new government type. Why didn't I do this earlier? Conquests would have been so much easier with these bonuses. A perfect country for conquest. Though right now I'm struggling with absolutism because I got a bit distracted and I'm still in the process of revoking privileges. After forming Italia, I can unlock a whole new middle mission tree, which further boosts several things and gives me even more useful bonuses, even more reduced scoring costs, claims on the entire French region, and after France falls, I can increase my ruler's combat abilities, plus a permanent bonus for fighting heretics, and I get a new casus belli, Great Holy War. As we remember from the last episode where I played as the Crusaders, the Great Holy War casus belli is incredibly strong, and thanks to it, I literally devour all of Swabia in one war. Only 2 provinces remain. I think I might explode now. Yeah, I have quite a few rebellions after conquering Swabia. Ultimately, I crushed the last line of resistance in Europe, the Dutch forces. I even managed to defeat the Danish fleet. Are they really going to be left with just one province? Wait, let me suppress some rebellions first. Only the cheaper ones maybe. Oh yeah, the really cheap ones. And in a moment, I can conquer all of the Netherlands. I think all of it. I'll let them exist here. Turns out, to fully dismantle the empire, I need to completely destroy France. So I launch an invasion of the islands, and France on the islands ceases to exist. You won't believe this, but England still exists right here. And its Shia, or whatever it is now, I actually wanted to release it as a vassal. Freedom for Wales. Not gonna lie, this mission is ridiculously strong. I get permanent claims on all of Europe. That's just overpowered. Now, a massive army recruitment, and finally, I managed to establish the Roman Caliphate, which dissolves the papacy and further strengthens my wars against unbelievers. Oh, here's the new government type. And here's how my new empire looks. It's the biggest in the world, unmatched by any other. But the world itself is also looking pretty interesting. Almost all of Western Europe is Shia now, as well as the entire Mediterranean basin. An epic showdown with Orthodoxy would be interesting. And I must say, my culture has spread quite well throughout Italy. If you enjoyed this episode of Antebellum, check out the next one, where I set out to conquer the Holy Land as the Crusaders.